Nature calls. Usually not when you're about to be arrested in a prostitution sting. The cop interrogating me, of all the cops in all of Chicago, had to be my ex-girlfriend, Maya. She scanned me with a look colder than a Lake Michigan winter and asked, "So, what was on the menu?" I thought about the loaded chili dog I never got to eat, the one with the works. The apocalypse dog, I answered honestly. A ghost of a smirk played on her lips. 3 years, and you've really expanded your horizons. I'm impressed. My name is Cole Evans. I'm a game designer. Nothing special, except for the part where I was currently sitting in a police interrogation room across from the woman who'd ripped my heart out 3 years ago. She wore a crisp uniform, her dark hair pulled back in a severe bun. The face I'd kissed 1,000 times was now a mask of professional indifference. It all started half an hour ago. I just surfaced from a 72-hour coding marathon, the kind of deep dive where you forget what sunlight feels like. I was starving. I made a beeline for the food truck that had just opened up downstairs from our office, a glorious place called Dog Days. The owner, a cheerful guy named Sal, was running a special. Buy one apocalypse dog, a foot long with double chili, double cheese, and a fried egg on top. Get one free. I paid the man, rubbing my hands together in anticipation. And as I waited, a familiar, volcanic pressure began to build in my lower intestine. Oh no. Last night's ghost pepper wings were launching their counteroffensive. I clutched my stomach, a cold sweat breaking out on my forehead. I scanned the street. The nearest public restroom was at a Starbucks 2 blocks away. A lifetime. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw it. The neon glow of the Gilded Lotus Wellness Spa. Any poured in a storm. I sprinted inside, managing a pained grimace at the young woman at the front desk. "Hi, bathroom, please." "It's a code red." She blinked, took one look at my pale, sweaty face in the way I was vibrating like a cheap motel bed, and must have taken pity on me. She pointed down a dim hallway. "Into the hall on the right." I mumbled my thanks and shuffled down the corridor as fast as my clenched eyes would allow. After averting a personal crisis of catastrophic proportions, I emerged feeling like a new man. I was humming, my mind already back on my chili dogs. And then I walked straight into a wall of blue. A tactical team was storming the entrance. The officer in the lead, all sharp angles and sharper eyes, was Maya. She saw me coming out of the spa's inner sanctum, my clothes a mess from 3 days of work, and my face radiating the profound satisfaction of a man who'd just dodged a bullet. Her expression curdled into a mix of shock, disgust, and something else I couldn't quite decipher. "Cuff him," she ordered, her voice like ice. No questions, no chance to explain. Which brings us back to the interrogation room. "Name," she said, not looking up from her file. "Cole Evans. Age, 27. Occupation." I hesitated. "Game designer?" She'd broken up with me because she thought my career was a joke, that I was just playing video games all day. Telling her the truth now felt like handing her a loaded gun. "Unemployed," I mumbled. Her pen stopped moving. She looked up, and I saw a flicker of "I knew it" in her eyes. "All right, Cole, what were you doing in there?" "I swear I was just using the bathroom," I pleaded. "I ate something bad." "What did you eat?" "Spicy. A chili dog. The apocalypse dog. From the truck outside." I figured a chili dog sounded more innocent than ghost pepper wings. The apocalypse dog? That sarcastic smirk was back. And how does an unemployed man afford the apocalypse package at the Gilded Lotus? I was completely lost. What is she talking about? What did a chili dog have to do with a VIP package at a massage parlor? My brain felt like it was overheating. No, the apocalypse dog is the name of the chili dog. I slapped my thigh in frustration. "Hey," the young officer next to her, Miller, slammed his own hand on the table. "Show some respect. You think we've never heard a code phrase before? The apocalypse dog. Real original. Who's your contact? How deep does this go?" I stared at him, dumbfounded by his imagination. This was beyond absurd. Maya waved a hand, silencing him. She leaned forward, her gaze analytical, like she was trying to dissect me. "Cole, we know each other. Just be honest. It'll be easier for you. Stop with the games." Her voice softened for a second, tinged with weariness. "I never thought you'd end up like this." That stung. "End up like what? All I did was use a toilet." "Maya, just let me explain," I said, my voice softening too. "Give me his belongings." She cut me off. nodding to Miller. Miller dumped my things onto the table. My 3-year-old Android, its screen a spiderweb of cracks. A worn leather wallet containing 2 20s and a handful of change. And my sketchbook. My ideas. My heart sank. Officer Miller picked up the sketchbook like it was the Rosetta Stone. He opened it with a reverence that was deeply unsettling. "Captain, look at this," he breathed, his voice trembling with discovery. I leaned forward. He was pointing at my concept art for the final boss in my new game. A writhing, Lovecraftian nightmare of tentacles and eyeballs I called the Abyssal Maw. In the margins were my notes on its attack patterns and weak spots. To Officer Miller, it was not a game boss. Is this some kind of cult ritual schematic?" he asked, looking at me with genuine horror. Or a diagram for some kind of torture device. Look at these twisted lines, these arcane symbols. It just screams sociopath. I wanted to scream, "That's my art style." Maya took the book, flipping through the pages, her frown deepening. I watched as she landed on a 2-page spread of a Gothic castle. The concept for the game's Citadel of the Damned. "Captain," Miller pointed again. "Look at the notes. Secret entrance, trapdoor, hidden passage. He's casing the joint. This guy is a pro. This is organized crime." My blood pressure spiked. "It's a game map. A video game. You know game." I roared. "Watch the attitude." Miller snapped back. "Enough," Maya said, closing the book. For a split second, her expression shifted. I saw a flash of the look she used to give me when she'd watch me draw, a flicker of admiration. It was gone so fast, I thought I'd imagined it. "We're holding this as evidence," she said, sliding the sketchbook into an evidence bag. I felt sick. That book contained the core design for the next 6 months of development. Without it, my partner, Fatty, was going to kill me. "No, please. Captain Reed, Maya. Seriously," I begged, all pride gone. "That's my work. I'm a game designer." "Game designer?" she repeated, the words dripping with sarcasm. "I thought you said you were unemployed." I wanted to punch myself. Why'd I have to say that? It's a startup. We haven't officially launched yet. It's more of a freelance situation," I stammered. "Ah, freelance," she said, jotting something down. "Freelancing at a wellness spa. Very entrepreneurial." This was harder than debugging a million lines of code. "Check his phone," she said finally. Miller fumbled with my cracked phone. "It's locked, Captain. Needs a fingerprint." Maya took the phone. She glanced at the screen, then her head snapped up, her eyes locking with mine. The air in the room went still. My lock screen was still the same picture it had been for 3 years. A photo of her on our university's quad, turning back to smile at me, sunlight catching in her hair. And the fingerprint to unlock, it had always been hers. I awkwardly maneuvered my cuffed hands forward, holding up my thumb. A faint blush colored her cheeks, quickly suppressed. She took my hand, her fingers surprisingly warm, and pressed my thumb onto the sensor. The phone unlocked with a soft click. I felt the slight tremor that went through both of us at the contact. Miller leaned in, eager to see what secrets the phone of this criminal mastermind held. He saw the smiling face on the screen, then looked at his captain's frozen expression. His mouth formed a perfect O. Maya's blush deepened. She practically snatched the phone and turned her back to me to start scrolling. A sliver of hope rose in me. Surely, seeing that picture, she'd know I wasn't the kind of guy who'd be paying for services in a seedy massage parlor. I was as usual wrong. "You have a new friend request," Officer Miller announced, reading over her shoulder in a theatrical voice. From Diamond, with a heart emoji. The message says, "Hey handsome, you free tonight?" My brain blue-screened. Diamond? Who the hell was Diamond? Maya's back went rigid. Her shoulders were trembling slightly. I couldn't tell if it was from anger or suppressed laughter. The room was dead silent. I racked my brain, and a fuzzy memory surfaced. Last week, Fatty and I went out for wings. He grabbed my phone, saying he was going to expand my social network. I was half drunk and didn't think anything of it. "Fatty, I'm going to kill him." "Captain," Miller said, his voice now full of awe. "I just ran the name. Diamond is a known associate of the Sapphire Lounge, another fine establishment we raided last month. Looks like our suspect has a wide portfolio." That was it. I was done for. I didn't add her. I yelled a last desperate cry. It was my friend. He was messing with my phone. "Your friend?" Maya turned around slowly. Her face was a blank slate, devoid of all emotion except a chilling coldness. The one who helps you expand your network. Yes, him. I clung to the idea like a life raft. I can call him right now. He'll vouch for me. She stared at me for a few long seconds, then tossed the phone on the table and hit the speaker button. You get one call. Make it count. My hand shaking, I found Fatty in my contacts and hit dial. It rang 3 times. Yo, Cole. What's up, man? Did you score that apocalypse dog? Fatty's booming voice filled the room. My heart plummeted. Fatty, listen to me. I'm at the police station, I said, trying to send him a psychic message to shut up. What? The precinct. He paused, then erupted in a massive laugh. Ha ha. No way. Did you actually get busted for taking a leak? I told you, you have a guilty-looking face, dude. They probably thought you were the ringleader. The world started to go dark around the edges. Fatty, shut up and listen. I hissed. Tell these officers that I'm innocent. All right, chill. He finally stopped laughing. Listen up, officers. You got the wrong guy. My boy here has standards, you know? A dive like the Gilded Lotus? He wouldn't be caught dead in there. Maya raised an eyebrow. I was making frantic hand gestures at the phone, which he obviously couldn't see. If he's going to go anywhere, Fatty continued, warming to his topic, it'd be that place I told him about, the Seraphim Club. Man, the talent there. World class. I'm telling you, the service is... Click. Maya ended the call with a chilling finality. The world went quiet. Officer Miller was now looking at me with a reverence usually reserved for deities. He took a half step back, as if I were radiating an aura of pure, unadulterated sleaze. I slumped in the chair, completely defeated. Anything else you'd like to say? Maya asked softly. I just shook my head. Okay, 24-hour hold, she said, waving a dismissive hand. As Miller led me out, I stopped beside her. I met her eyes and said, with every last bit of sincerity I had, Maya, I didn't do it. Whether you believe me or not, I didn't. Her posture tightened, but she didn't turn around. I was put in a holding cell with an assortment of characters who looked at me with a newfound respect, whispering to each other about the legendary Seraphim Club. I curled up in a corner and wondered how my life had come to this. All I wanted was a chilly dog. The air in the cell was a heady mix of body odor and stale regret. A guy with a neck tattoo offered me a cigarette. So you're the guy? The Seraphim Club. Mad respect, man. What's it like in there? I just closed my eyes. How the hell would I know what it's like? On the other side of the cell, a few women who'd been picked up in the Gilded Lotus raid were whispering. Did you hear? The one in interrogation ordered the apocalypse package. Yeah, and his code phrase was chili dog. Kinda cute, right? He was kinda hot, in a scruffy way. Didn't look like he had money, but I guess he's one of those quiet millionaires. Totally. Anyone who can get into the Seraphim Club is basically royalty in our world. I bury my face in my knees. Me, Cole Evans, the indie developer whose fans called him the legendary CX, had just reached the pinnacle of a career I didn't even know I had. The cell door clanked open. It was Officer Miller. Evans, come with me. His tone was noticeably more respectful. He led me to an empty office. A hot cup of coffee was sitting on the desk. Mr. Evans, he said, using my last name, Captain Reed was reviewing your file and found a discrepancy. A discrepancy? My hope flared. Your driver's license lists your address as the Astoria Grand? He asked. I nodded. I bought a penthouse there with the money from my first hit game. It was close to the office. Miller looked confused. The Astoria Grand. That's one of the most expensive condos in the city. But you said you were. Unemployed. Freelance. I corrected weakly. He ignored that. It just doesn't add up, he mumbled to himself. A guy who lives in a multi-million-dollar penthouse wouldn't be caught dead in a place like the Gilded Lotus. And why would you run in there to use the bathroom instead of just grabbing an Uber home? Logic. He was finally using logic. Exactly, I said, leaning forward. It makes no sense. Miller nodded, then shook his head. Wait, no, I read about this. Rich guys sometimes do stuff like this for the thrill. It's an ironic counter-narrative to their privileged existence. My hope died a swift and painful death. This guy needed to stop reading crime novels. Outside the office, Maya leaned against the wall, listening. Cole lived at the Astoria Grand? Impossible. 3 years ago, he was living in a crappy studio apartment in Pilsen, surviving on ramen and dreams. His only assets were a beat-up laptop and a head full of ideas she thought were fantasies. Had he actually made it? Or had he just found a sugar mama? The thought sent a sharp pang through her chest. She remembered the photo on his phone, the way he'd looked at her. No, he wasn't that guy. But then how? Her phone buzzed. It was the tech crimes unit. Maya, we got a hit on that developer alias you asked about, Sex. Guy's a ghost, no public photos. But we pulled his company's LLC registration. Got his real name. What is it? Maya's heart was pounding. Cole Evans. C.U.L.E. Evans. Captain. Captain. Officer Miller burst into her office, his face a mask of shock and awe. The spa owner, he confessed. Maya put down her phone, rubbing her temples. He admitted to running a brothel? No. Miller shook his head, practically vibrating with excitement. He swears it's a legitimate business. And he said a guy clutching his stomach did run in asking for the bathroom, just like Mr. Evans said. Maya's eyes widened. And there's more. Miller held up his phone like a holy relic. I went to the food truck. There really is a chili dog called the Apocalypse Dog. And the owner is the spa owner's cousin. They have a deal. Spa customers get a discount on the dogs. The pieces clicked into place with a deafening roar. A chili dog. It was really just a chili dog? She whispered. Yeah. Miller slapped his thigh. We got it all wrong. He was telling the truth the whole time. We arrested an innocent man. Maya's face burned. She remembered her sarcastic remarks, her notes in the file. Code phrase, Apocalypse Dog. Tear, Supreme, and Cole's last words to her. I didn't do it, Maya, whether you believe me or not. Shame and regret washed over her. She hadn't just wrongfully arrested a citizen. She'd wrongfully arrested him. Just then, the office door flew open and a large man in a designer tracksuit and a gold chain stormed in. The cops. Where's my boy? Where's Cole Evans? Are you the friend from the phone? Miller asked, recognizing the voice. The one who recommended the Seraphim Club? A misunderstanding. A huge misunderstanding, the man wailed. It was Fatty. I thought he was joking. Officer, I can vouch for him. He's a good man. We were up all night working. Working on what? Maya asked coolly. Our game. We run a game development studio. Fatty fished a key fob out of his pocket and pressed a button. From the street below, the roar of a high-end engine echoed. You see that? Maserati. We may be a startup, but we are not broke. And my boy Cole, he's the genius behind it all. Maya looked from Fatty to the key fob, thought about the address at the Astoria Grand and the confirmation from the tech unit. The whole humiliating picture was now crystal clear. She looked at Miller, her voice hoarse. Go get him. Release him. When I walked out, I was still in a daze. Fatty crushed me in a bear hug. Bro, I'm so sorry. I'm such an idiot. I patted his back. It's okay. Just let me breathe. He let go, checking me for injuries. Then he turned to Maya, a flash of anger in his eyes. Officer Reed, I don't know what your personal history is, but this was way out of line. Maya just looked at the floor, unable to speak. Miller jumped in. It was a mistake, sir. A procedural error. We apologize. He then turned to me, his eyes shining with a strange new light. Mr. Evans, I'm so sorry. My name is Jake Miller, and I'm a huge fan. Starfall Odyssey. I've played it like 10 times. I can't believe I'm meeting you like this. He was practically hyperventilating. Could you sign my notebook? He held out my sketchbook. My sketchbook. This was more surreal than any game I'd ever designed. Fatty stared, his jaw on the floor. He looked at me, at Miller, then at Maya's conflicted face. A slow grin spread across his face as he put it all together. Ahem. Fatty cleared his throat, draping an arm around my shoulders. Officer Reed might not be aware, he said, puffing out his chest, but my boy Cole here is the legendary developer, Sex. The guy who designed, coded, and wrote Starfall Odyssey all by himself 3 years ago. Won Game of the Year, took home a 7-figure prize. Now we're partners. Our new game isn't even out yet, and it's already valued in the 9-figure range. Every word was a hammer blow to Maya. She stared at me, her face a storm of disbelief. The Cole she remembered was the ramen noodle-fueled dreamer. She'd loved his passion, but feared his lack of practicality. She wanted a sure thing, and all he were blueprints. So she'd left. And now, Fatty was telling her that every single one of those blueprints had been built into an empire, more magnificent than she could have ever imagined. The aimless boy she'd left behind had built a kingdom on his own, and she, in her infinite wisdom, had just tried to slap him with a soliciting charge. CX. Her voice was barely a whisper. Of course she'd heard the name. He was a legend among the younger cops on the force. Officer Miller, now in full fanboy mode, was flipping through my sketchbook. Dude, the Abyssal Maw. This boss design is insane. I died 37 times fighting this thing. This is the original art. He looked at Maya with an expression that said, "How could you? Captain, you almost confiscated a national treasure." Maya looked like she wanted the floor to swallow her whole. That's not all, Fatty added, twisting the knife. That sketchbook is worth more than my Maserati. That's our next 6 months of content. If you'd lost it, it would have cost us. He held up 9 fingers. Miller gasped. Maya swayed on her feet. Seeing her like that, my anger just evaporated. I felt a pang of something like pity. I took the book from Miller. That's enough, Fatty. Let's go. I started to walk away. Mr. Evans, please wait. It was the precinct captain, a man in his 50s. On behalf of my entire precinct, I want to offer you our sincerest apologies. This was a significant error, and the responsible parties will be disciplined. He glanced pointedly at Maya. Her entire body went rigid. I looked at the captain, then back at Maya, who was staring at her shoes, twisting her fingers together. Don't worry about it, I said, my voice even. Captain Reed was just doing her job. I guess I just have one of those faces. Fatty stared at me. Maya's head shot up, her eyes glistening. I didn't look at her again. I turned to Miller and smiled. You liked Starfall Odyssey? Liked it? I loved it, he said, nodding vigorously. Good, I said, clapping him on the shoulder, knowing that makes all the all-nighters worth it. We're leaving. I slung an arm around Fatty's shoulder and walked out into the blinding sunlight, a free man who had, tragically, still not gotten his chili dog. Back at my penthouse at the Astoria Grand, I collapsed onto the couch. Fatty handed me a glass of water. You're too soft on her, man. She was just doing her job, I said. It was a huge screw-up. I'm not going to let her career get derailed because of my crappy luck. The same career she chose over you, he grumbled. Because you were a loser playing video games? I didn't answer. He was right. Maya and I were from different worlds. She was law and order. I was chaos and creation. We met at a college debate tournament and fell in love. We were broke and happy. But after graduation, reality hit. She joined the force. I turned down corporate offers to build my own world from scratch. Can't you be more realistic, Cole? She'd asked. Is this really a career? It's my dream. Your dream is to stare at a screen all day? What do I tell my parents my boyfriend does for a living? I'm a creator. I'm tired, she'd said, the light going out of her eyes. I need a life I can see, a future I can count on. That was the last time we really talked. She left. I locked myself in my room and started to code. A year later, Starfall Odyssey was born. The first thing I did with the prize money was buy this apartment. She'd once pointed at a billboard for it and joked that we'd live here someday. I thought I was over it, but seeing that look of disappointment on her face again today, it proved the wound was still there. Just forget it, Fatty said. You're CX now, dude. Women would kill to be with you. I smiled. Some things you can't just forget. Meanwhile, back at the precinct, Maya submitted a letter of resignation. Her captain slid it back across the desk. Don't be ridiculous, Reed. You made a mistake. You learn from it. You get a formal reprimand, and you move on. That young man gave you a pass. Don't throw it away. She walked out his office into a sea of concerned colleagues. You okay, Captain? Don't worry about it. It happens. Miller was the most distraught. Captain, I'm so sorry if I just recognized him. Don't, she snapped, a rare show of anger. Don't call him that. His name is Mr. Evans. Back in her office, she saw the evidence bag on her desk. She pulled out the sketchbook and opened it. This time, she didn't see criminal evidence. She saw worlds, mechanical dragons, glowing underwater cities, golden citadels in the desert. And in the corner of one page, she saw a tiny cartoon sketch of a female police officer, hands on her hips, with a sassy look on her face. Next to it, in tiny letters, it said, "The unbeatable NPC Maya." A single tear fell, then another splashing onto the page. The next few days were a blur of work as we raced toward the launch of our new game. I try not to think about what happened, but Maya's face kept flashing in my mind. Just call her, dude, Fatty said around a mouthful of pizza. The script has flipped. You're the successful one. She's the one who screwed up. It's the perfect when you're ex-back movie plot. Just give her an out. It's not that simple, I sighed. Just then my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Maya Reed. Are you free to talk sometime? I'd like to apologize in person. Fatty saw the screen. Do it. Tonight. Take her somewhere expensive. I ignored him. My thumb hovered over the keyboard for a long time. Finally, I typed 2 words. I'm busy. I turned off my phone. On the other side of the city, Maya stared at the 2 words, her heart sinking. She had spent the last few days learning everything she could about my last 3 years. The more successful she learned I was, the more foolish she felt. She'd braced herself for an angry reply, but the cold indifference was worse. On her coffee table was a large bag from Dog Days. Inside were a dozen different chili dogs. The Apocalypse Dog, the Cheesy Rider, even a custom one Sal had made for her, with no onions. The peace offering she'd been too scared to deliver. Now it seemed she never would. A week later, the night before launch, I finished squashing the last bug. It was 3 a.m. I looked out the office window at the empty street below and, for some reason, thought of the food truck. On a whim, I walked outside and headed for the corner where it was usually parked. From a distance, I saw its lights were on. As I got closer, I saw a lone figure behind the counter, clumsily trying to assemble a chili dog. It was Maya. She was in jeans and a t-shirt, her hair in a messy ponytail. She looked normal, young. She was so focused she didn't hear me approach. She carefully placed a finished dog in a paper sleeve and added it to a large insulated cooler bag that was already packed to the brim. A squad car pulled up. An older cop I recognized, Officer Kowalski, got out. Hey kiddo, still moonlighting? He chuckled. Sal's lucky to have you covering for him. Hey Walt, she smiled. He had a family thing. I was bored. You made all these? He asked, gesturing to the cooler. Gonna be a slow night for sales. Maya blushed. Just practicing. Kowalski just grinned, grabbed a dog, and drove off. I took a deep breath. Excuse me. Can I get one? Apocalypse Dog? My voice made her jump. The tongs clattered onto the griddle. She turned around slowly, her eyes wide with panic, like a kid caught with her hand in the cookie jar. Cole, what are you doing here? I was hungry, I said, eyeing the cooler. Looks like you had a busy night. Oh, these, she stammered, her face turning crimson. These were practice runs. They're all messed up. I smiled, pulling up a stool. Well, make me a good one then. Apocalypse Dog, hold the onions. She turned, her movement stiff, and started cooking. The familiar sizzle and smell filled the silence between us. I watched the way the light caught her eyelashes, the way her brow furrowed in concentration. She wasn't a hard-nosed cop anymore, or the disappointed girlfriend from my memory. She was just Maya. Here, she said, handing me the hot dog. I took a bite. The chili was a little burnt, the cheese a little too melted. It was perfect. Well, she asked, her voice trembling slightly. It's good, I said seriously. You've got about 60% of Sal's technique down. A laugh escaped her lips, a real, genuine laugh that shattered the tension. You heard that. I heard it, I said. Never figured you for the food service type. It's not a job, she retorted, a flash of the old Maya in her eyes. It's an apology. She pushed the cooler towards me. These are for you. For that day. I'm so sorry, Cole. I didn't know. You didn't know I'd made it? I finished for her, a hint of old bitterness in my voice. She shook her head, her gaze direct and unwavering. No, she said. I didn't know you never gave up. I was wrong, Cole. 3 years ago, I was wrong. I shouldn't have judged your dream by my standards. And just like that, 3 years of hurt, of anger, of feeling like I had something to prove. It all just melted away. Well, I said, clearing my throat and pointing at the mountain of chili dogs. As part of your penance, you're going to have to help me eat all these. Her eyes crinkled into a smile. Okay. We sat there until dawn under the yellow light of the food truck and ate way too many chili dogs. We talked about her job, my work, everything and nothing. We didn't talk about the breakup or the arrest. It was like the last 3 years had been a bad dream we'd both just woken up from. As I walked her to her apartment, she stopped. Cole, when does the new game launch? Tomorrow. Can I see it? She asked. Of course, I smiled. I've reserved a spot for the unbeatable NPC. She blushed. I'm not your NPC, she said, but she was smiling. I reached out, instinctively, to brush a stray strand of hair from her face, but stopped myself. I should go up, she said. Okay. She turned, then turned back. Cole, that folder on your computer. For Maya. Is it still there? I froze. How did she know about that? Fatty. She saw my expression and grinned, a mischievous spark in her eye. Your fan, Officer Miller? He told me all about your legendary college days, including how you taught yourself to code just to make me a personalized game. Damn it, Miller. So, is it? She asked again, her eyes shining with hope. I looked at her, at the face I'd never been able to get out of my head, and nodded. Yeah, I said. It's still there. I never finished it. Her smile could have lit up the entire city. Well, she said, standing on her toes and planting a soft, quick kiss on my cheek. Maybe we can finish it together. It tasted faintly of chili. 1 month later, our new game, Abyssal Maw, was a global phenomenon, shattering sales records. At the launch party, Fatty was crying drunk, telling everyone I was the best decision he'd ever made. Miller was there, our guest of honor, shaking my hand like he'd just met a superhero. And Maya was there, in a simple black dress, watching me with a proud smile. Later, in the cab home, she rested her head on my shoulder. So, what's the next game about? I grinned. It's a romance simulator. Oh yeah? Who's the heroine? She asked, her voice suddenly alert. A tough, brilliant, beautiful cop. And the hero? Oh, him. I said, drawing it out. He's a misunderstood, slightly nerdy, perpetually unlucky game designer. She swatted my arm gently, a blush rising on her cheeks. What's it called? I leaned in and whispered in her ear. It's called My Ex-Girlfriend and Her Apocalypse Dog.